challenged Turning Point USA executives to issue a very clean statement saying that I am lying if this is not true. About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright.
Everything shifted the moment a former Turning Point USA staff member sat down on Candace Owens' show. This wasn't someone venting emotionally. It wasn't chaos or personal drama. The appearance felt calculated, organized, prepared. According to viewers who watched closely, the former employee came equipped with documents, timelines, and internal communication records. Not hearsay, not someone told me. Structured claims tied to specific dates and leadership decisions. And Candace didn't go easy. She asked direct questions, the kind that require specifics, the kind that push for documentation instead of opinions. And each time she pressed, the former staffer pointed back to paperwork. That's when the tone of the interview changed. It stopped feeling like commentary and started feeling like a deep dive into how internal power transitions may have unfolded after Charlie's passing. What made this moment different from previous controversies wasn't the content, it was the source. This wasn't outside critics, it wasn't rival commentators, it was someone who had worked inside the organization, someone who said they witnessed structural changes firsthand. According to the interview, the culture inside Turning Point USA began shifting in noticeable ways after leadership consolidated under Erika Kirk. The former employee described changes in authority flow, messaging focus, and employee expectations. Now, it's important to be clear. These are claims from one former staff member.
Erika Kirk came in as leader. I don't even know how to explain it. The vibe just shifted, like instantly. And then she starts bringing in all these new people, total unknowns. No social media, no LinkedIn, no nothing. It's like they just appeared. Everyone in the office is joking, well, half joking, that they're all spooks. And honestly, it fits. So people start digging around just to see who we're really working with. And it gets creepy fast. Her mom works for some Israeli defense firm, something to do with missile systems, like the Iron Dome level stuff. Her dad literally wrote the book about how to integrate private companies into the intelligence community. And Erika, she loves to brag about her connections. She'll say stuff in meetings like, if I want to know something about someone, I can have it by morning. Mossad doesn't sleep. Then she'll flash that megawatt smile like she's joking. But she's not. Everyone knows she's not. Does she actually work for them? I mean, yeah, everyone thinks so. She's hinted at it herself. And now, the whole office feels wired, Slack channels are dead. People don't say what they're thinking anymore, everyone's paranoid, like the walls are listening.
They are not court rulings. They are not verified legal findings. But they sparked conversation because they came from inside the building. One of the major topics discussed was updated employment contracts. The former staffer alleged that newer agreements included stricter confidentiality and non-disparagement clauses. These types of agreements aren't unusual in large organizations, but critics online are debating whether the scope of these clauses goes beyond standard protection and moves into reputation management territory. Again, that's interpretation, not proof. But when contracts become part of the public discussion, people naturally start asking questions. Another key claim centered on staffing turnover. The former employee suggested that several long-term staff members exited or were let go during the leadership transition period. Some viewers interpret that as restructuring. Others interpret it as consolidation. The truth? Without full transparency, it's difficult to say. What clearly changed, though, was the tone of the organization's messaging. Supporters who have followed Turning Point USA for years say they've noticed a shift in emphasis, particularly in how international policy and foreign affairs are discussed at events compared to previous years. Some say the messaging has evolved, others say it feels redirected. The former staffer framed this as mission drift, but that claim remains debated. It's also worth noting that organizations often change when founders pass away. Leadership styles differ, strategic priorities shift, communication approaches evolve. The real question people are asking isn't whether change happened, it's why. Was it natural organizational growth? Was it strategic repositioning? Or was it something else entirely? One moment from the interview stuck with viewers. The former employee described an internal culture that discouraged open questioning of leadership decisions.
This is crazy. Yeah, I understand. I understand where you're coming
No,
from.
and I know you're going to keep saying that. I understand. Like, I know that.
No, I know.
And I know there's probably no magic string of words that I could piece together to procure some type of answer. But I think on a surface level, like, I'm not going to walk out of here until I say my piece. Like, I mean, y'all know this. I just worked a series of 80, 90-hour weeks plus for Infest.
Yeah, like
I've had no direction or explanation since we've come back. Our CEO has been assassinated. I've done nothing but bend over backwards for this organization to the point where I'm wondering if this is a prank.
It's not a prank. I would never do that.
So I'm just trying to understand. And
No, I understand. It's time to.
so do I get to have a conversation with Dylan? Do I get to have a conversation with Justin or anybody? Or
Nope.
no? And there's no explanation.
According to them, raising concerns about direction or strategy was increasingly uncomfortable. Now, that's their perspective, not a verified internal audit. But the perception of restricted dialogue is what sparked the loudest reaction online. Because once people believe transparency is shrinking, trust becomes fragile. And trust, especially in political movements, is everything. What this interview really did wasn't prove anything definitively. It cracked open a door. It moved the conversation from emotional reaction to structural analysis, and that's why it hit differently. So now the discussion isn't just about personalities, it's about power flow, organizational control, messaging evolution, and whether supporters feel the current direction reflects the original mission. That's the conversation unfolding right now. And whether you see this as whistleblowing, restructuring, or simple growing pains, one thing is clear: people are paying attention. And here's the part that people say makes this impossible to ignore. Erika hasn't publicly slowed down. She hasn't stepped back to recenter the organization around its original messaging in a visible way.
Challenged Turning Point USA executives to issue a very clean statement saying that I am lying if this is not true. About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright, okay? Charlie was done. He said it explicitly, that he refused to be bullied anymore by the Jewish donors. Can you guys answer? Did he express that? Did he also express that he wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself? And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat?
If anything, from the outside, it appears she's moving forward with confidence. And that's what's fueling the conversation. So the real question being asked online isn't just what changed, it's why. Is this simply a new leadership style? Is it strategic repositioning? Or is it a deeper shift in priorities? According to the former staff member who appeared on Candace's show, the network of relationships around Turning Point USA has evolved. They pointed to increased engagement with policy-focused groups, advocacy organizations, and international affairs discussions. Now, to be clear, engagement with foreign policy groups isn't illegal. It isn't automatically suspicious. Many political organizations build relationships across multiple sectors. But what caught attention was the perception of imbalance. The former staffer claimed that certain meetings and partnerships seemed to receive more attention than traditional grassroots or faith-based outreach. That's their interpretation. Not a verified audit, but it sparked debate because supporters began comparing messaging from previous years to messaging now. Some viewers see evolution, others see redirection.
The first thing that I found very odd about, this Christian conservative company is they rented 2 stripper vans to take us out to the city. Once we got down to the bars in Arizona, they started.
The former employee also described a gradual consolidation of decision-making authority. Again, consolidation after a founder passes isn't unusual. Organizations often centralize leadership during transition periods. But the speed of the transition is what stood out to observers. According to the interview, changes unfolded in stages. New advisors brought in, staff turnover increased, revised employment agreements implemented, messaging tone shifted. Individually, none of those actions prove wrongdoing. Together, they created a perception of strategic restructuring. And perception matters. Because when supporters feel like the mission has shifted, even slightly, trust becomes fragile. One of the biggest questions raised online is about oversight. Who signs off on major directional changes? What accountability structures exist internally? How are decisions reviewed? These are governance questions, not conspiracy claims, and they're fair questions for any nonprofit or political organization experiencing rapid change. The former staffer didn't claim secret masterminds. They didn't present hidden documents proving grand plots. What they did present was a timeline of leadership consolidation that they believe deserves scrutiny. Now here's the part that really fuels discussion. Was this simply a natural leadership transition? Or was it a strategic realignment that supporters weren't prepared for? That's where opinions split. Some argue Erika stepped forward because someone had to. Others argue the shift feels too smooth, too structured to be purely spontaneous. But here's the reality. Without internal transparency, outside observers are left interpreting patterns. And when patterns repeat, staffing changes, messaging adjustments, contract revisions, people connect dots. Whether those dots form a clear picture or not depends on who you ask. So, where does that leave everything? It leaves us in a moment of uncertainty. Turning Point USA today is not identical to what it was years ago. That much is visible. The open question is whether that difference represents growth or departure. And until there's more clarity, the debate isn't going anywhere. Now I want to hear from you. Do you see this as normal organizational evolution? Or do you think something bigger shifted behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this breakdown helped you think through the situation more clearly, hit like, subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive, and share this with someone who's been following the story. This conversation is still unfolding. I'll see you in the next one.